everyone. This is Jagriti Valecha, and I welcome you all to the first session of Fireside Chat with Winspires. Today, we have Nidhi from Galboson team and Viji, who's the guest of the day. So, warm welcome to the show, Viji and Nidhi.
Thank you.
Thank you so
So,
much, Aditi.
let's get started by hearing few words about Galboson from Nidhi.
Thank you so much, Aditi. I'm Nidhi Chopra, part of Gal Boston team. So over here in Gal Boston, we try to initiate certain conversations with young women which are more closer to the life. For example, body positivity, gender stereotypes, etc. So those sort of conversations are essentially meant to help them not just with their career, but also with life in general. So excited to be part of this conversation and very excited to hear Vijay's thoughts about leadership and how women can make something greater out of them.
Thank you for the quick introduction, Nidhi. I can truly relate to the cause of Galveston. So, moving on to our first Winspire, Viji is an AI consultant with a long career in IT. She was the director of IT at Rotary International in United States and led 100% strong organization. 6 years back, she moved to artificial intelligence and data science by getting certified, and now she has worked with several startups across India and abroad. She's currently leading a computer vision project at a startup in US, and it's really amazing. So after doing a bit of research about Viji, I came to know that Viji's strength lies in building the IT strategy which is aligned to the business goals and building and motivating the team to align to that IT strategy. And the last but not the least, recently she was awarded with being in top 11 women in technology. And it's such a huge achievement, Viji. Heartiest congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I would love to hear from you about your journey. What was your dream as a 17-year-old, and how did you figure out that, you were meant for engineering?
When I was 17, I lived in a small township actually outside Chennai. And during my 17th year, when I was in my 12th grade, I moved to Bombay. And it was a big transition to move from a small town to a big city. My dad was an electrical engineer working with the Atomic Energy Corporation. And he was my role model. And I had always been interested in math. Since I was a little kid. So he was in many ways a role model for me to want to become an engineer. And I started my engineering in the early, actually late 80s. I chose to do chemical engineering, which was not a very popular field at that point, and there were hardly any women in it at that time. And computers was just beginning to take off, and I didn't quite understand the whole significance of computers at that point. It was only at late 90s that really IT took off in India.
So all across this journey, like you might have come across a lot of people, who are your models, role models. Like when I was transitioning to data science, and I saw you at Honeywell, so I saw my role model in you. So I want to understand, who are the people who you look up to when you need some advice related to your professional life or personal life?
Yeah, sure. So I can't say that there was a single role model throughout my career. And to be honest, when I was 17, I think I really looked at my immediate family as role models. So as I said, my dad was an engineer, and I looked up to him for his engineering acumen. And my mom, she was a homemaker. But in many ways, she really wanted, we are a large family, and she wanted all of us to work and make careers for ourselves. So in many ways, my mom was a very strong role model in the sense that she really believed in the power of the mind, and she's been a great inspiration for me. My grandfather won the Padma Bhushan for his life in social work. He was a pretty well-to-do lawyer, but he gave up all of it to work with Dalits in Andhra Pradesh. And so I always wanted to know that I wanted to do something in the social work field as well. And he has been an inspiration in that way. But then when it comes to technology or women, I have attended a course on Coursera about 6-7 years ago. It's one of the most popular courses on Coursera. It's called Learning How to Learn. This was a time when I was getting certified in data science, machine learning, and deep learning. I'd been in IT for a number of years, as you had mentioned, and actually sitting down and trying to do courses after a long career was extremely difficult and sometimes daunting. I didn't feel I could complete, go back to my high school math, pick it up, and brush up on my linear algebra, calculus, and then go through these courses. And so I did this course called Learning How to Learn, and Professor Barbara Oakley, it's extremely inspiring because she was not good at math when she was growing up. But later in life, when she was 26 or 27, she picked up math. Even though she struggled with it throughout her schooling, she struggled with math, and she had actually majored in English. But then she picked up math, and then she went on to become a professor of engineering. So this is, to me, a very inspirational story. If somebody can, start so late to pick up right from a basic skill like math and then go on to be a professor of engineering, it was just like, to me, amazing that somebody could do that. And so, some of these stories, I am an avid reader. Very recently, I read this book called Educated by Tara Westover. She has this completely amazing story of growing up in, rural America and not being allowed to have an education. She never went to school. She was not allowed to go to school. And then this girl goes on to actually getting a PhD. So that story has been very inspiring. I watched and listened to a lot of her interviews. So these are the kind of things. I can't say there's just one person, but there are many inspirations like this. And I'm an avid podcast listener too. And many, I just this morning was listening to Siddhartha Mukherjee's take on the whole COVID pandemic. These are the kind of people who do inspire me and keep me motivated to keep working through obstacles or learning new technologies or, not giving up.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can resonate with the fact that, the internal factors are the ones which stops us from achieving our goals. So by this, I would land up to the most important question that I believe. So, generally we girls are brought up in a very protective environment. So, what is your view on from your experience and being a mother of 17-year-old on how this upbringing affects the kind of the decisions we take in life and what the young women should do so that they are ready for the fast changing dynamic world that is coming across in their lives?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, I have a 17-year-old girl and a 13-year-old boy. And although in my household, we are very gender aware in the sense that, it's extremely important that both the boy and the girl are treated as equal in all senses. So just as an example, yesterday we had, Ganesh Puja at home. And, my husband told my son, can you come to do the puja because you're the next generation? And he insisted that, no, my sister's older than me and she should be the one who's leading the puja. So both my kids are very much aware of this. My son, I'm very proud to say, is a strong feminist, and I'm glad for that I'm bringing him up that way. My daughter never played with Barbie. She was not allowed to do that. And so she always, looked up to being equal in every way. That being said, when in the US, although there were external factors that are very gender, oriented, role oriented, rather than, allowing an individual to be who he or she is. In India, I feel the external factors do play a big role. So for example, when she was 16 or 15, I wanted her to do an internship because she was interested in IT. I said, it may be good to do an internship in a laptop repair shop, right? Because this is where you get first-hand experience of how to fix a laptop, right? And you open up a laptop, check out all the hardware, see what typically goes wrong, and then you fix it, whether it's hardware or a software issue or whatever. But it's interesting that it was extremely difficult to find a safe environment to send her to and be by herself. Very difficult. And I kept thinking, right, if I had to do this with my son, who's only like 13 now, but in a couple of years, it would be much easier for me to send him for a few hours a day into a laptop repair shop and have him learn that. So it is, I mean, in spite of our best efforts, there are going to be external factors that are going to be daunting. But my advice to her and to all like 17-year-olds is to dream big. So dream as high as you can, right? Dream really so that you can achieve the heights one day. And coupled with that dreaming big is to, break it up into small pieces and work on things that you can achieve on a daily basis. So I am a big believer of the Trello board. It's my life kind of companion to break up tasks, large tasks into small tasks that I can actually achieve on a daily basis. It may be a 20-minute, like a lecture on something that I need to watch, or a 20-minute, write-up that I need to do. But I try to break it up, and I try to not lose focus on my goals and kind of work on it on a daily sustained manner so that I can achieve them. So the two pieces of advice are dream big and, act small in some way, act with small pieces of things that you can actually achieve.
That's amazing experience when you told that, your kids are grown up in such a way and you send your daughter to a laptop repair shop. It just gave me goosebumps because I can relate to it, like at every bit of it. When I went to robotics competitions, many a times I am a single girl. So I'm really glad that, once we embark on a journey, there would be a lot of obstacles and hurdles coming in. So I want to understand, did it ever happen with you that you had trouble finding the support for your ideas just because women are not considered good in technology and entrepreneurship?
So strangely, when I lived in the US, I did not face this as much. In many ways, I was the first woman in as a director of IT. But I never even thought about it, right? I never thought that women in this day and age would find obstacles in their careers or would not be taken seriously because of their gender. It just did not occur to me also that this is still a problem today. After I moved back to India, I began to face these obstacles a lot more. It still is very difficult if you're working with an Indian startup for a lot of them to take you seriously or your ideas seriously just because you're a woman. And I've struggled with it for many years. And coincidentally, it's around a few years ago that I read the Schneider's book on what was the book? Sharon's book on that not giving up and the whole gender stereotypes in IT. And I was like, it just opened my eyes because I had never thought of the book called Lean In, right? So I never thought that there was an issue with women in technology in this day and age. I thought this was like, we were way past it. I had really thought that we were, way past it. This had happened way before. We're, completely over it. And when I read Lean In, it just opened up my eyes that I have to look beyond just me. There are a lot of women out there who are facing these issues. Then I began to notice, right, when I go to a tech conference in India, so I went for an NVIDIA Developer Connect conference a few years ago, in a room of around 800 people in the keynote address, they were probably accounted, less than 30 women. And then I began to question, why are there such few women who remain to be in technology, right? So when you start off, from engineering colleges, there are probably equal number of men and women who graduate and then who go on to take jobs as fresh trainees, right? So you see that a lot of women are there, but then you fast forward 5 years or 10 years into their careers, most women have dropped off. Or they've changed careers entirely and taken up, less intense careers. And I can kind of continue to wonder, why is this the case, right? So why are women dropping off in such large numbers? And to me, it comes to really, in many ways, the, like the support system that you have at home, right? So are women being smart about the partners that we are picking, right? So in my case, my husband is an extremely avid supporter of everything that I do, right? So he never comes in the way, and in fact, in many times encourages me a lot to kind of go out and be there, out there. And he is there at home if, need to take care of the kids or do anything that needs to be done. And so we do feel that we are equal parents in bringing up kids. So it's not that there's one parent who takes a predominant role, another parent takes the, lesser role. Because if the men don't step up, it's very difficult for women to actually move forward. If you don't have a support system, what ends up happening is that women actually we're literally killing ourselves to kind of take on several jobs at one time, right? You have a full-time career, you have full-time household responsibilities and bringing up kids, and it's impossible, right? So you don't have even a moment to yourself, and this is not a sustainable thing that can actually help women grow and succeed in their careers. So what do women do then? It's really difficult, so they give up. So my advice to young women is, when you're picking a partner, make sure that they are clear that this is, you are interested in pursuing a career and you're not going to give up a career for any reason, right? And that you're looking for support, that you're looking to say that you're going to be equal in every way, right? And that parenting is not just a woman's role. A man has equal part in it, and that they have to be willing to take on, household responsibilities, or else it's not going to happen. So whether it's taking care of a sick parent or parent-in-law, or, taking care of young children, men have to play a role, and otherwise it's not going to happen.
I got a lot of insights from this talk, and you just gave the advice that every 17-year-old needs right now. It was like really a insightful discussion, and maybe I'm sure that it would be a great learning for our audience as well. So I would say thank you so much, Vijay, for taking your time out for us and talking to us. It was really lovely having you over here.
Thank you so much, Jagrati. I really hope that the work that you guys are doing, both Jagrati, you and Nidhi, helps keep inspiring girls to get into technology, and also helps young women to stay sustained and interested in technology and not give up. It's going to be a tough journey. Technology is a place for rapid change, as we all know. Every few years, it reinvents itself, and you have to reinvent yourself to keep at it. So it's not easy, but it is very rewarding to be in technology, especially if you're able to do any kind of work that makes a big difference in society. Then you feel that it's completely worthwhile. And personally, also, it's very rewarding to be in select few women who are out there, and hopefully there'll be a large number of girls who get into this. And in my lifetime, I hope to see an equal representation of women in the high leadership positions in technology, not just at the entry level. So I really hope that the work you guys are doing will help make that dream come true.
Yeah, we are really hoping for that. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nidhi, for being with us today. And thanks to Galvosm team as well for supporting us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.